Hey guys, today we are going to take some notes over the phases of the moon. It's been a while since we've done anything paper pencil now, but I want you to go ahead and pull out your science notebooks that I sent home with you the Friday before spring break, and we're going to record these notes in your notebook. I want you to write this down as you follow along with me. Okay, so I'm going to title this page Phases of the moon. We're going to draw lots of circles today. You will see that my circles are not perfect. I do not expect your circles to be perfect. I just want to make sure that you are doing your best. The first circle we're going to draw here is going to be in the middle of our paper, but before we draw it, we're going to turn our paper sideways. This will give us just a little bit more room. So in the middle of our page, we're going to draw a circle. Mine is about the size of a quarter. And I'm going to label this circle Earth. So here we have it, our Earth. Earth is the middle of the moon's revolution, so we'll keep us right there in the center. Off to the side of our Earth, way out on the edge of our paper, we have our lovely sun. The sun's important because it is how the moon gets its light. So we have 8 different phases of the moon that we are learning about. So I'm going to draw 8 circles around our Earth. I like to start on either side of the Earth, and then I'm going to do one above, one below, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 right in between. And you can see this kind of shows the path of the moon as it orbits the Earth. The moon always orbits the Earth counterclockwise. So I'm just going to write orbits counterclockwise. Okay, so I told you our sun was important. We are going to take each moon that we have here and we're going to split it in half, because when we have our sun over here, this half of the moon is dark. Just like for the Earth, only half of the moon has light at one time. We're going to split our moon in half, and this part is lit up. And this part is dark. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see that better. So I'm going to do that same thing to each of our moons, but no matter where the moon is, the sun is always over on this side. So this is the side of the moon that's always going to have some light. So I'm going to divide it in half, straight down the middle. And one half of each of these is dark. And the other half is light. Okay, now we know that the moon does not always look to us like it's half lit up. Sometimes we have a full moon, sometimes we have a new moon, sometimes a half moon, but we also have crescents and gibbuses. Sorry about that. I thought that might help a little. If I can fix it. There we go. So we need to know how the moon looks from Earth. We're going to start right here with this moon that's in between our Earth and our sun. When we have these lined up, sun, Earth, moon, Earth, that will always give us a new moon. So right next to this, I'm going to draw another circle. This circle shows us how it looks from Earth. These middle circles tell us how it looks from space. So it's hard to get from this to here because we can't zoom in on space, zoom out into space, and then back down on Earth. So what I like to do is I'm going to turn my paper so that this is above the Earth, and I draw 2 lines straight down, and then I draw 1 line straight across. And so right here, in this little section, the only part that's facing the Earth is the part that's totally dark. So I'm going to fill this guy in here because we only saw where it was totally dark. And this is called a new moon. Okay, I said we rotate or we revolve counterclockwise, so we're going to go down to this moon next. I'm going to do the same thing here, where I put this moon right above my Earth, and I'm going to draw those 2 lines down and the 1 line across. So now when we're looking at this half circle, we see it's almost all dark, but over here on the right side, we have a little bit of light. So it was almost all dark, but we had a little bit of light over on the right side. Now when our moonlight looks like this from Earth, we call this a waxing crescent. So I remember my waxing and waning because I think the light is on the right when it's starting to get bigger. You want to be big and you want to be right. So that's how I always remember whether it is waxing or waning, based on which side has light. Moving on to my third moon, again, I'm going to move it to the top. I draw my 2 lines down and my line straight across, and here when I cover up, we can see that it's half light and half dark, and the light is on the right side. So we had half light and half dark with the light on the right side. Remember, you want to be big and you want to be right. And we call this a first quarter. Now it sounds kind of odd that it would be called a first quarter when it's a half moon, but it is 1/4 of the way through the full cycle. Moving on to our fourth moon phase, I'm going to draw my 2 lines down and my 1 line across. And we see that it is mostly lit up with a little bit of dark over here. So it's mostly lit up. The light is on the right side, but there's a little bit of dark on the left side. So I'm going to draw my moon. And I said it's going to be mostly lit up, but a little bit of dark on the left side. The light is on the right. So I'm going to draw my little sliver of darkness. And it's mostly lit up. This one is called a waxing gibbous. Waxing means it's getting bigger. A gibbous is when more than half of it is lit up. Okay, moon phase number 5. Again, I'm going to turn my paper so that the moon we're looking at is right above. I'm going to draw my 2 lines down and my 1 line across. And now when we're looking at this moon, we can only see the part that's lit up. This is a full moon because it is fully lit up. So I'm going to draw my circle, and I'm going to show that it is completely lit up. And as I mentioned earlier, this is a full moon. I'd say this is probably the moon phase you are most familiar with. Okay, our 6th moon phase. Again, we're going to turn it so this is up above. I'm going to draw my 2 lines down, my 1 line across. And once again, we have where it's almost all lit up with a little bit of darkness over here. But this time it's lit up on the left and it is dark on the right. So I'm going to draw my moon. It was lit up on the left with just a little bit of darkness on the right. So once we hit that full moon, our light flip-flops. So our light was on the right side. Down here, as the moon's getting bigger, it's on the right side. But up above, we're going to start waning, and our light's going to get smaller. When that happens, our light is on the left side. So this is called a waning because it's getting smaller. Gibbous because it's more than halfway lit up. Waning gibbous. Our 7th moon phase. The moon is already right above the earth, so this one we don't have to turn our paper. I'm going to draw my 2 lines down and my 1 line across. We can see that half of the moon is lit up and half of it is dark. This is similar to our first quarter, except this time the sides are flip-flopped. So our light is on the left and our darkness is on the right. My moon, I'm going to split it in half. I said the darkness is on the right and the light is on the left. Now this is known either as a 3rd quarter or a last quarter. I am totally fine with you calling it either one. I typically use last quarter because then I remember that on the last quarter, the light is on the left. So I think last, light, left. And we have all L's, and that's how I remember that we're getting smaller when the light is on the left side. We have our last moon phase here, right before we get back to a new moon. So I'm going to draw my 2 lines down and my 1 line across. Here we have it is mostly dark with a little bit of light. And just as with our waning gibbous and our last quarter, we have our light on the left. So I'm going to draw my moon. I'm going to draw my moon with a little bit of light on the left, and the rest is all dark. This is called a waning crescent. That's our last moon phase.